All right, so you've been digging into this whole raw material reception operator thing.
Right.
It's a bit of a mouthful, I know.
Yeah.
Not exactly a job title you hear every day,
It's not.
but somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
And it turns out it's a lot more important than it might sound at first.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those behind the scenes roles that I think often gets overlooked, but when you really think about it, almost every single thing we consume starts with raw materials.
Okay, so paint me a picture.
Mm.
Let's say I just landed this job.
Yeah.
What am I doing day to day?
Okay, so picture this. You're at the entry point of a food processing plant. A truckload of cassava root arrives. Your first task is to make sure that all of those roots are top notch, ready to be turned into tapioca flour, and you're not just like eyeballing them either.
Hold on, so not just like sniffing them out for the bad ones like we were talking about earlier.
Well, sensory evaluation is part of it, but you actually have some pretty high-tech tools at your disposal. We're talking refractometers to measure sugar content, spectrometers to analyze moisture levels, even metal detectors to make sure nothing got in there that's not supposed to be in there.
Really?
And these aren't just like fancy gadgets. They
Mm.
are absolutely essential for making sure that the final product is high quality and safe to consume.
I had no idea. It was
Yeah.
so involved.
Yeah.
It sounds like you need like a real mix of technical knowledge and then just like good old-fashioned sensory skills for this.
Exactly. And take something like moisture analysis.
Okay.
If there's too much moisture in the cassava root, you risk mold growth, while it's being stored or processed.
Right.
But on the other hand, if there's too little moisture, you compromise the texture and the quality of that tapioca flour that you're trying to make.
Right.
It's a real balancing act.
Wow. So you really are like that first line of defense against a funky tasting bubble tea.
That's one way to put it.
And it's not even just the testing, right? You said that the career guide mentioned something about inventory management and distribution.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what does that look like?
So once you've given those cassava roots the green light,
Okay.
you're also responsible for keeping track of them as they move through the plant.
Oh, interesting.
So where are they stored? How much is going to do at each processing line?
Makes sense.
It's all about making sure that the flow of materials
Mhm.
is smooth and efficient from start to finish.
So you really do have your hands full from the moment those trucks pull up.
Yeah, you do.
The guide also mentioned that this could be a really physically demanding job and like even hazardous at times.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that? What are we talking about, like rogue cassava roots or something?
No, not quite.
Okay.
But think about it. You're dealing with these huge quantities of raw materials, often in industrial settings.
Right.
So you might be operating heavy machinery, you could be working at heights,
Oh, yeah.
or even handling materials that require you to take, specific safety precautions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not all sunshine and cassava cakes then.
Right.
There are some real things to think about on the job safety front. But for somebody who's not afraid of a little hard work and actually kind of enjoys being hands-on, could be a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of finding that right fit, we've also got these RoleCatcher resources that you pulled.
Right.
One's all about interview prep, and the other's about using AI for your whole job hunting process.
Right.
So how does that play into this whole raw material reception operator world?
That's where things get really interesting because, this might not seem like the most high-tech field,
Right.
but these resources really highlight how platforms like RoleCatcher are changing the game for job seekers,
Okay,
no matter what industry you're in.
I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What is RoleCatcher, and how could it actually give someone like an edge if they're going for a job like this?
So imagine having a personal assistant for your job search, basically.
Okay.
It's kind of RoleCatcher in a nutshell.
Right.
One of the coolest features is this thing called RoleCatcher.capture.
Cashy.
And basically it lets you grab job postings from all over the place. Company websites, job boards, you name it.
Wow. And it pulls them all together and organizes them for you.
Okay, so that's pretty handy if you're applying to a bunch of places.
Right.
But it gets even better, right? There's AI involved.
Oh, yeah.
What does that do?
So RoleCatcher actually takes all those job descriptions that you just pulled and it analyzes them.
Oh, wow.
It figures out what specific skills and keywords those employers are looking for.
So instead of sending out the same resume to like 50 different places and crossing your fingers,
Right.
you can actually tailor it to what they're looking for.
Exactly.
That's huge.
And it even goes a step further. It'll tell you which version of your resume is the strongest match for each job.
What?
Like, you know how you maybe have one that really highlights your warehouse experience and one that focuses on the volunteer work you did at a food bank?
Right.
It'll tell you which one is a better fit for each specific application.
That's amazing.
Yeah, takes all the guesswork out of it.
That's incredible. And it seems like that would be a game changer in a really competitive job market. Absolutely. And then on top of that, they have AI-powered interview prep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like having a mock interview with a career coach who knows exactly what questions to ask
Oh, what?
based on the specific role that you're going for.
So you're not walking in there totally blindsided.
Exactly. You're going to be way more confident and prepared.
That's huge.
No more sweaty palms.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little.
But you're not stumbling over your answers.
Exactly.
And so we talked about how the career guide mentioned that there's actually opportunity to move up in this field.
Right.
So you might start as this entry-level raw material reception operator, but with some experience in building the right skills, you could become like a lead operator or something.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing a tool like RoleCatcher could actually help you figure out what skills you need to develop and how to position yourself for those more senior roles.
Oh, for sure. It's all about being proactive and strategic about your career.
So it's really interesting. We've got the hands-on stuff, inspecting the materials, managing inventory, making sure everything's good quality.
Right.
But then there's this whole other layer of like navigating the job market.
Yeah.
Developing your skills, planning out where you want to go in your career.
It's like a whole journey.
It really is. It's more than just a job. It really changes how you think about it.
It does.
We started with something that seems like a pretty simple job.
Right.
Just, looking at stuff, making sure it's good.
Yeah.
But we found all this other stuff. The technology, the skills you need to make sure things are good quality.
Yeah.
The whole supply chain.
Yeah, and how to move up.
Yeah, and how to build a whole career path for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's what's so cool about these deep dives.
It is.
We have these ideas about what certain jobs are.
Right.
And then you dig a little deeper and it's like, wow, there's a lot more to it than I thought.
So much more.
So much more. So for someone listening who's thinking about this as a career, what would you say?
I'd say don't be afraid to mix it up,
What do you mean?
Use those old school skills, the attention to detail, the willingness to get your hands dirty.
Right.
But then be smart. Use the new technology, too.
Okay.
Those tools like RoleCatcher, they can help you get ahead.
It's like the best of both worlds. You're making sure we have good food to eat,
Exactly.
but you're also staying ahead of the game,
Yeah.
using the latest and greatest tech.
And it makes you think.
What's that?
We've talked about people doing this job.
Right.
What if robots start doing it?
Oh,
Is that the future?
that's a deep dive for another day.
Maybe we'll find out.
For now, let's give these folks their due.
Absolutely.
They're the unsung heroes.
They really are.
They're making sure we have all this good stuff, the
Good.
tapioca, the cassava chips, all of it.
Exactly.
So next time you're enjoying something tasty,
Right.
take a minute to think about those raw material reception operators.
Yeah.
They're the ones making it happen.
Behind the scenes.
And with that, we'll wrap things up.
Sounds good.
This was a good one.
It was.
We'll see everybody next time for another deep dive